In this video, I want to talk about 10 one-minute habits that you can integrate into your day-to-day that'll make you feel a little bit better, a little more productive, a little happier, and best of all, they're really easy. I am really big on tiny, easy, small changes that have a big domino effect in your life. These are some of the things that I do often that really help me. Number one, resistance mapping. So this is something that you can do whenever you are feeling a strong sense of resistance towards getting something done, whether it's a project or just a small task. So to do a resistance map, start in the middle of the page, put the thing that you're resisting doing, and then branch out to your thoughts, your feelings, actions, and results. Write down any feelings that come up when you think about the task, any thoughts that you can identify around the task. Break the task down into the tiniest of actions in your actions section. And in your results branch, you want to think about anything that you could do to make the process of getting those results more fun. This is probably more like a 1 to 3 minute habit depending on the task, but it makes such a big difference when you find yourself resisting something to do this simple activity. Number two, cyclic sighing. So this has become my go-to whenever I'm feeling anxious, and it works so well. I've tried other breathing techniques, but they just don't quite work like cyclic sighing. Andrew Huberman promotes cyclic sighing a lot, and they actually did a study in his lab at Stanford where they found that 5 minutes of cyclic sighing outperformed 5 minutes of mindfulness meditation in terms of anxiety reduction and mood improvement, and that is definitely what I have found. This is one of those things that you can just pull out, like it's very much a tool that you have in your toolkit, and when you're feeling super anxious like I was just the other day, you can just start doing this cyclic sighing technique and immediately you will notice the difference. Cyclic sighing is breathing in and then in again, and then letting out a really long sigh-like breath. The longer you can make that sigh-like breath go, the more I find that it makes a difference in how you feel. Number three, set a timer. Sometimes I talk about habits before the habits, and this is very much a blanket habit before the habit. If you get into the habit of just setting a timer, it can be game-changing. A habit before the habit is the thing that gets things rolling. So a habit before the habit for working out at the gym would be getting into your workout clothes, walking out and getting into your car. Once you've done that, you've got the ball rolling. Things will flow from there. And setting a timer is very much a get the ball rolling kind of habit. When you get into the habit of just setting a timer when you need yourself to do things, it gets things started and things just naturally happen from there. I'll do this for a 10-minute tidy, but I'll also do it if I just don't feel like doing anything. I'll be like, okay, well, I'll just set a 25-minute timer and see how we go from there. Nearly every time when I set that timer, things end up happening. Number four, coach yourself towards moving forward. So I talk a lot about working in sessions where you work, break, work, break. Another layer that I like to add on to work sessions is doing a bit of journaling in between my sessions. So this can be super structured, like this template that's inspired by ultra working, where you ask questions like, what specific things do I want to get done in the next work session? What distractions exist? Another really low energy way that you could do this is have these questions listed and then just talk it out into a voice recorder. For me, it can really help to do this in third person language as well. So really talk to yourself like you're a separate being. In a paper from Nature Scientific Reports, they actually said, third person self-talk may constitute a relatively effortless form of self-control. And it's been a pretty consistent finding. When you can talk to yourself in third person, it tends to have a little bit more of a motivational effect than talking to yourself in first person. And it's a really good strategy for emotional regulation, which a lot of the time when you struggle with procrastination and productivity, it comes down to managing your emotions. You don't have to work in sessions to use this, just do some form of this in between every task in your day, where you almost process your feelings and thoughts about the task you just did and your feelings and thoughts about the task ahead. Number five, look at your vision board. I think that a lot of goal setting and goal achieving comes down to actually remembering your goals and keeping your goals top of mind. A quote that I always think about is, the main thing is keeping the main thing the main thing. Because a lot of the time that's literally what it is. That's the hard thing, keeping the main thing the main thing. Reviewing your vision board every day is about keeping that thing top of mind. The things that you might want to include on your vision board are things like what you want to achieve, but also how you want to behave and what you want your days and weeks to look like. I made a whole video on how to create a better vision board. If you're interested in that, I'll have it down below. I made my vision board using Millernote, which is my favorite tool for creative projects. I actually recently hosted a meetup event on the Gold Coast. It was so fun. I had the best time, but I organized it all through Millernote. I'm also finally getting onto wedding planning, finally, and everything's going into Millernote. Millernote. With Millernote, you can collect notes, images, links, to-dos, pretty much anything, and you can drag it all around. That's something that I really like about Millernote. Mess with stuff as much as you like. It very much feels like you just have a big board in front of you and you can move things around. It's flowy, it's easy, it's simple. I would recommend Millernote to anyone who really likes a lot of freedom in their planning, who loves the idea of just chucking everything out, organizing it later, anyone who's creative, who doesn't like too much structure when it comes to their planning, who has creative projects that they want to achieve. That is who I would recommend Millernote to. And anyone who's visual as well. Millernote has also made starting a new project really easy. They have hundreds of templates that you can choose from for whatever type of creative project you need. And if you have a creative project you need to share with a client, a colleague, or even just a friend, that's something that you can do in Millernote so that you can collaborate on your board in real time. Millernote is available for free with no time limit, so sign up using the link down in the description below to start your next creative project. The next 1 minute habit is the 12-second hug. I do this all the time with my sister and my partner. They may not know it, but if I feel dysregulated, I'm gonna be going in for a long hug. I actually can't find any resources that say that your hug needs to be specifically 12 seconds. And I'd also say if you're sitting there or standing there counting the seconds while you're hugging someone, you're probably just not going to get the same amount of, you know, loving feelings out of that. But it's well documented that when you hug someone for a generally long period of time, long enough for you to relax, you get that hit of oxytocin, your cortisol levels are gonna go down. And this is such a quick, easy habit if you live with friends, family, or someone that you love that you can do like multiple times a day. And it has an immediate effect on your brain chemicals. Don't think of it like that though. Just think of it as, you know, sharing a hug with someone you love. It's really a better way to approach it. Play past the cringe. This one is such a fun little habit. I actually cannot remember where I learned it, but you know when you get those cringe memories that you think of something you did like when you were in high school or like 5 years ago, and you're just like, ugh. There's a visceral physical reaction. Oftentimes these are really stupid things, but they just feel awful. Something that you can do when those memories come to mind is play past the cringe. So usually those memories come in like flashes of just that particular moment. Keep on playing the memory past that cringy point. I don't know what this is. It reminds me of, you know, like when a DVD would get stuck and then finally it would play past that point and it's like you could move on. Sometimes you do need to do a bit more processing with those kind of memories if they're really deep, but sometimes for the lighter memories, when you just start playing past the cringe, it's like, I don't know, it gives you this weird ability to process things and you react a lot less to that memory. It's also just a way better alternative than trying to avoid the memory from coming up, because as we know, what we resist persists, and if we're just resisting that cringe memory, it's just gonna come back. I get the worst cringe memories and I feel like I could make a whole video on how to deal with them because I have strategies and they really work, but this one it's a banger and it's easy to do in the moment, under 1 minute for sure. Savor the good feelings. So I always talk about how your mind is comparable to your TikTok feed. The more you stay with a certain type of video, the more it's gonna come up on your feed. Similarly, in your mind, the more you stay with certain types of thoughts and feelings, the more they are going to come up on your algorithmic brain feed. So stay with the good feelings for longer. Stay with the good thoughts for longer. Lean into those good states that you experience in your day and just really savor them. And this can very much be just about embracing a feeling of happiness or a good thought for just a minute longer than usual. I really like this way of looking at your brain, and savoring the good is a very easy habit to integrate. Relive positive evidence. Most people have a very real negativity bias where they look for the bad. They look for the things that confirms their worst assumptions. The things that happened in that conversation that confirmed that they're a weirdo, that they're unlikable, that the world is scary. So whenever you experience anything that is the opposite of whatever those negative beliefs are that are part of you, relive it in your mind. Burn it into your brain. Add it to that me folder that your brain clearly has. I feel like every brain has a self-reference folder, and oftentimes we fill it with the bad stuff that confirms all of our negative beliefs. Burn those positive things that confirm the opposite of your negative beliefs into that me folder. So this can really be a 1 minute habit after you've had a conversation with someone or after you've gotten something done during your day. Burn it into your brain. Relive it out. Look at yourself from an outsider's perspective as you relive it and be like, like how would someone else view me in that situation, to create another little image in your mind. Mind, body, observation. So this is one of the most helpful 1 minute habits that you can start integrating into your life. Noticing your thoughts and your feelings without judgment. non-judgment. Something I like to do is imagine what color my feelings are, what texture they might be, what shape they might hold, what side of my body they're on, where they are in my body. Because for me, that helps me to step out of my thoughts and feelings, and it helps me to see them as experiences that pass through me rather than me. One thing I'd recommend is do this when you feel good, or when you feel neutral, or just like a little eh. You want to practice checking in with your mind and body in lower pressure environments so that when you are sort of overwhelmed with a feeling, when you find yourself wallowing in whatever it is that's coming up, you're able to practice the same behavior. Just this one habit has been pretty life-changing for me, being able to step outside of myself and be like, ooh, there's a feeling, there's a thought, and not eat into them quite so much. It's definitely something that you need to use it or you lose it. This is also a really good alternative to a meditation practice, because essentially meditation is teaching you this. So instead of meditating for 20 minutes a day, while that is still a good habit to have, you can just start doing these little 1-minute check-ins, mind-body observations, where you just look at your feelings and thoughts non-judgmentally. If you liked this video, you're definitely going to like my video on my top 10 time management tips. I'm gonna have that linked on the screen as well as down below. I feel like it's a really good accompaniment to this video because it's sort of like the habits that I embrace that keep me productive. And some of them are pretty small habits too. I appreciate you so very much, and I will see you soon.